biana NDC for call parliament obviously JB down kwa aye de ben aye betrayer because or the Ghana ko share CID for nsa na oyentrofo na or the Ghana secret commerce CID for na omo kan sem na hwan Senator Rawlings super journey mu se o kan bi ena ampi bi ka chere se transe form wudini ba asem oya papa ne kan ye no abeye nsem bebre wo Ghana man mu se eni kwan se enka ampi ne kasa enam so ema ahemfu binum afrefra won toma akopie mu wo Parliament of Ghana se Speaker Agwambaben papa ne tro eso sene ne ti everywhere hwan everywhere ampia o kan sa asem no na omontwe na so na miwia ene me wo different pieces of video a ti wasum ye no nyina na be video na comment afa so obi kese jejeri John Rawlings ye model oye awudini a esua so obi gina ba bi kese Rawlings so ye wudini okumnipa oye assassinator oye killer esua Rawlings no o say yam friend brom sam okum na wasɛe no Jerry John Rawlings ye brom sam onye wudini nko a Rawlings oye nipa bone pa woye ni hu nipa bone na asem a na ye meya a na ehime se ye gina ho ama sabio papa wadi bone ente se wo Ghana man mu papa na otimi ma ye fa ne maame type ebeto abadwam epai ne hontoma ebai ne nantam na ye twa ne kosie kuma so ma papa osi obi ne papa ato atade di afri London abre no atade na efe enti ne yetimachi akora no boro no etwa ne ma papa sabio osi wo 50,000 Ghana ekitawo fabra na fankoto bank na wadi sika no na wadi Rawlings otimi say Ghana gold ede ko hefa Switzerland Zurich ekobie store abone ni awudie nti ode share broni bi nsa broni no yare ya owu ye obewu no ye well to so a ode sa japade na ma na yire Rawlings also pay your equity ahia ni esikafo nyina ba ye pe Rawlings ne ye ka abusia omo sika wo Ghana man mu papa no oye one of them Rawlings oba ya na obi abra tontoma mienu miensa aguni dan mu a ose ye wudini Rawlings otimi kofa obi free Syria Lebanon emane ba Ghana man mu se onko no nko twetwa videos ewo asikafo omo wo man no na omo fa video no mre no na onko chi wonko won Rawlings a otimi handle obi obi ebo obi pa say onkotwa videos of how people were killed now here tio Rawlings a nipa maku enwotwe a na omo edi Ghana man so potimi sa omo like won Rawlings otimi fa judge for miensa maame a oye den oma ne manofo nom papa etimi fa no kunu sa nipa wei sa wo so onye wudini a no ye de be eske ni na sem na wo ye sofo ana adwuma be na Rawlings ye na kuro ya metimi papa bi obedi itari man so na efen Mussolini na wa ye ne hu detector enna me no kasa ni din ya mo no politics uko Germany papa ye fe ne Hitler Adolf Hitler munim de oyeye saa papa na ene ni din ye mo no German politics unim na onam German na wo Adolf Hitler ni din a bo wane achew na yaman na mu efo yaman no na mu efo ena ye white wash Rawlings ena obenya ba bi gina wo man no ena obehya ase ye ne ho te se no oye angel papa we ye wudini saa papa no oni na busuamfo nyina nipa bi a Rawlings da ne din so wɔ Ghana man mu bia na ɔsɛ nka yɛmpam no mfiri man no papa wei na sɛ Ghana yɛ japade ne yɛ future papa wei na sɛ ne nyina ɛnam pɛsɛ me nkuminya ɛnam sɛ ne maame ne papa anwade a yɛwo na ɔte ahokyere mu nti no ɔsɛ wɔ sɛ ɔntumi nte ase sɛ amanfo binom ho tɔ wɔn awudi a yɛfrɛ na awudie na ɛna ɔno ankasa bɛto n'anum tu aka akyerɛ wo onipa otumi tena ase nipa otumi tena ase ɛfa pen and paper ɛtwerɛ enipa maako 240 din a teacher for wom nurses wom carpenters wom military generals etimi kese yenkum saa nipa we nyina emfiri oman no papa otumi epaja obi papa edristra aluprem ede brog sinsen no gya no topum emani wu papa enam no so nti na yenya fallen square ewo oman mu papa enam ne so amanfo companies eseye eguye amanfo hwiri won sika amanfo hwiri won abusuamfo amanfo hwiri won maame ne won papa no osisa papa no oye kononkono Jimmy udini onte se mo so ye kononkono na momenti Black Rasta the video way ye wi a me bebo video a when I am called direct to Rawlings, me bo video a chere wa ti asema Rawlings beka. Say obi to me catch or say okum onipa bi because no ye naive. Okum nipa bi because obi bedi nipa no ho nkontompo chere no because of tribalism. And then send this for mojamu no. Sa papa we nyumafo na oye ni awudie na odi ya Ghana ban ne Ghana mra anhyeda antwena so wo kwan papa bi so ama ne ho ankyere no manam fansua nyansa no eno na akodi sa nkrofo ye frɛ mo NDC fo mu a yentumi nka wo asɛm wo Ghana man mu Jimmy na ehye papa we ti ma boro ne baye pese me nkuminya me giafa me bokro no oman ne eyeme de me ye voter ni me ye kokko kakra sin tuntumfo white supremacy na ebi shakwa wetim na etumi trase ema sabio bosomfo nya bosomfo bosom de se ya depa awudini kese a enti sei etimi white wash ne ho ebetena ho enne ka kire wo se me enkese me papa ye wudini na so kese papa ye wudini a wo se ni den who is in a Rawlings o se nka nhimwase mo o se nka nhimwase o se nka nhye wo ne wabusuamfo ne nuanom nyina ase nye sa so o se nka ye mpa mo mfiri Ghana man mu nka mo nkope baabi ntina eni kwanse nka mo ban Ghana man kura na nka mpese odo ho abaji politics ya amoku for years kakari TV sana ye twere no enke eni kwanse ma Rawlings akwanya kura man ban politics ne ma na so enne nanso enne die na yehu die yehu ne se owudini onte se Rawlings a obesay Ghana ye future in the name of onokomode no amamfo ho to mo enti ono so pese enye ote se omo no enne ono ne ba yetima na kwanya ma ne betena parliament esam medim Ghana fo atem se maye nkese ne papa ye wudini na me paachi wo ne papa no amamfo omo hwere omo papa omo maame omo agapade wo mu fie ne na asefo no omo so de na yenka nkire wo etua yonko ho etuaduam Senator Rawlings etua yonko ho etuaduam mo mfere ade mu ade mo nya nkwasia party bi afre na NDC na omo support mo e na omo back mo e na omo cover mo Mu e wo se nka mu nwane mfiri Ghana ma mu nkope baabi ntena. E wo se nka mu nwane mfiri Ghana ma mu nkope baabi ntena kora na obi ante mudin. Rawlings din a yete ne wo man num no eye musuo ma yen. Se yanhye Rawlings abusua ase mfiri Ghana ma mu ayema ne yeye da. Because the name Rawlings is a sin. Eye bone Bema otumi epaja ne nsasi form ne nansi form. Ekumu nipa for no reason, just because she want to be in power. Na ye jano maneba etimbe jina parliament biema. Ebe so be politics. Na ene kire say ye nti democracy ase. Na de ya ne say enkrofo mo akosku omunim Ghana history and these MPs etimi tena what etimi tena parliament defended Jolly John Rawlings say oye bofo emmoa Rawlings ye bofo ye nka Rawlings asem na mo wo hwe me na bia mekan and these MPs no bebre no omuni ni omo sena omo amobra wo omuni ene omo sena omo amobra na yanoma sabio akamfo ne other tribe na yesenom ne yabusuamfo ye nananom abobra na omu bibi di no eye yen na ye papa we ne tamfo enti ye normal say wo awufri north ho ai muntara Mohammed ai hanu na idrusu no enye kwa ame nkroma nka school montumi anko because mo sene mu ninom omo amobra no mo ahokyere ayen akamfo no ye fa mu no mo ante mo amfiri because mo na mo dampatam be ye no makamfo na ye ninum ne yeso no mabre won ho asisi dan abiebie stores ebinu abiebie companies ebinu mo sika ankasa ebinu mo gold ankasa hye omo fie papa we bedi bone be jeje sa japade ni nyina afiri yansam na me no so mabusua bia na nka wagina yie enam papa we ntino sa abusua na enne wakwa akotofom enti won ti ase voter hene na wo kasa na won ti ase because won tuma mu bon woda so ti apatase nti won ti ase de nti akamfo ye ni abere se Jolly John Rawlings was a molder. Jolly John Rawlings was what? Was a thief. Jolly John Rawlings was what? A criminal. Jolly John Rawlings is not needed to be what? Celebrated. Abusiamunti a video we netie die nti akwa we ekokum afrifa tie ni ye
he was retired, he was in his village. What did he do wrong?
It might interest you to know that Afrifa was being provocative and I had him locked up. And he wasn't feeling too good. So I said, they should send him to the hospital. And after he recovered, I remember very well, and the gentleman who was keeping an eye on him was called Dennis. He was also in Achimota school, 1 or 2 years ahead of me. He was with intelligence machinery then, that he had recovered. He's okay now. What do we? I said, let him go home. And yet, later, had to be brought back. You see what I mean?
Why?
One or two.
Always say, Obiye, one way. Now, we didn't coupon now and another adentia. Wait, Papa, we ought to say, Obiye provoke, Obi provoke, no. And for that reason, you know, on the Nipana Kwako to prison. And then, they were Kevin Terate, America. And I'll can't open. They were Kwasiampany Captain Smart to Ghana, radio, Sony TV, so anopa, also there. Attempt no die. Why the mama Sakwanyano? Papa, when neighbors so be a provoke, or be provoked to Wachinatu. And Kamon Kwasiafona, Mosemo de Mona Mano, Mosimano, Kamubenyano Namakasa. Your mammo, Yensa, no more fire bassa. Wait, Otimicho be too because in the pani provokuno. Wait, also a saint or angel. Ne so be mada. Momento asutie. The enti okum Afrifa, General Afrifa.
2 years ahead of me. He was with intelligence machinery then. That he had recovered. He's okay now. What do we? I said, let him go home. And yet, later, had to be brought back. You see what I mean?
Why?
One evening, I don't know if it was the evening before the departures had to take place. I went.
You mean the executions?
Correct. I went to see a respectable general of ours. In fact, someone who just had a close, what you call it? He just escaped, being hurt, or also being killed on that June 4th day. A man whose life was saved because I held him in very high regard. So I went to show him the list. I was in a very heavy mood. I remember where he sat, and I sat on, what do they call it, a couch. Those leather things people rest their feet on.
Yeah, leather puff.
Correct. And looking away from him. And I'd given the list to him. And I was very, very heavy. I'm saying I couldn't hold back the tears because we had tried everything to prevent it. The executions of the commanders.
I was young, where Vima Papa with the list. So, Casa Lista, Unimelista Kuroka Wasep. So, Casa Lista, a yellow say they go supermarket, I got on your mouth. Fatu Timiepa. A young man for Papa, we are shed off a penny pipa. A man for Papa, we. Afa penny pipa tre won diangu pipa so say obekum wonyira. Look at the face that he's using to tell you say the list. Enye de koto ade wo supermarket o. Enipa ye kukum won. Tie. Eto the list na kwachire general bi. Listen to what is happening.
And after about 2 minutes or so, I heard him behind me ask, and where's the rogue? Where's the rogue? The rogue's name is not on the list. So, this shocked me a little.
And did you know who he was talking about?
No. So I turned towards him, expecting him to say who he meant by that rogue. Because here you are, trying to prevent a situation with such a list. For him to be asking to an additional name, a name that was also not on the list, took me aback a little, But I turned towards him and looking towards him. And so I was looking at him like, whose name is it? Who's the person? When he said Afrifa, General Afrifa. So I'm still looking at him. Like, he will have to say more. And what did he say? He said Afrifa had been advanced a good load of money to wage a campaign against Champong's union government. Yes, at that time, things were pretty hot. And instead of using that money for that purpose, the money, incidentally, as he said, came from an establishment within an organization in the West. I don't want to say the name now. And and instead of using that money to wage that campaign against the Sh0cking, he used it, according to the general, to edge out, what's his name, Mr. Pawili, who I believe was the leader of the UNC at that time.
Correct.
He edged out Pawili and took over the leadership of that party. I cannot recall. I wasn't too much into the politics of those days, but that's what he said. Whether it happened or not, I don't know. Oh, well, in politics, I guess that could be sinful enough, I guess. So I kept quiet, collected the list, and went away and did what I had to do.
Tio, Papa, we ought to wait. As a watcher, Ghana food dinner, Sandy Pano be come mana ye. And you went to kill somebody. Abra unim sa otihoi politically, you were not well informed. But because somebody told you something, you went to a statesman, you took him and you killed him. I took the list away and I do what I gotta do. Na ne bakwa siabani to the parliament say you guni papa who fee. Who was your father? Was he a farmer or he was a modeler? So what is wrong if we say your father killed people? That is the reality. Well, or can it say the enyewe? Papa na count nipa okumu want to say the enyewe. To say the wine bibia. To say the eye no Martin. I got to do what I have to do. What he had to do was to kill somebody. And think and this new MPP and this new woman na no other former MP na or see all koye and this no inka yenchini nkokuno. Aye. And I said, no Rawlings your to when ne yere na adwuma nkran do Rawlings a ofri NDC ekote ne party no inka yenkokum no. Enti ka wo Rawlings a wa bi wanuma ka say in 2016 abato ayekoto ye one to a man DC na ukoto ma sabi oyere party musika amonyane mo shen na so amanya nyina munya free NDC mu no enka mo so ye nkyem ye nkobo butuo saazene tajima Rawlings no e wo so nka na nuntum e wo se omra bonten na nka o meka nkyere Ghana for say yenye den yemfa ne papa bone nche no opagana fo achewo ne papa na di bone no anye ono a enye nkwase asem na ogyina ha wo ka no general free for okum no kwa. Let's listen to the video. Listen. Tie nkwase asem osho ye nan fo ni munyansa nti okokum afrifa.
So did he add the name? Or did he ask you to then add the name?
It was obvious that his name would have to be added.
Okay.
Because we would have to make some serious sacrifices. And the guiltier you are, the easier it could be. And here you had a list of innocent good people as well who would have to die to save hundreds.
And this person was a general.
Sure.
How shameful to say, innocent people were added to your list to kill them because you wanted to sacrifice them. Innocent people. You just wanted to kill them. And we should honor you as a former president. Ghana Nefwampa.
Is he alive?
Yes. Yes.
Is he still your friend?
Oh, no. You must have, in a way, I was a little naive also around that time. It wasn't until later that I saw through what he did. What he said could very well have been true. However, I think he wanted that man out of the way, because he felt, upstaged by General Frifa by virtue of the 66 coup. Until then, he thought he was a rising star, the point man for Western intelligence organizations. And now, the 66 coup haven't happened. I guess he's the one they are dealing with, and not him who he thought was more qualified.
But you took his word then?
Oh, I used to hold him in such high esteem. Some other interest. On one occasion, I was sitting with a major friend of mine when we were discussing the move that had to be made, especially the one pertaining to dropping the bomb on a Champong. And in my conversation with this major friend of mine, or was he a captain then? What did he say? No, I said, a Champong in a way had corrupted so many good officers and, pushed out some of the other good ones, the senior ones. So I was saying that this general, for instance, is one of the good ones who could be brought back if or when General Akufo takes over, to assist him, in terms of bringing on board efficient, disciplined people. He was one. And this captain friend of mine, it was in the evening in his corridor. What did he say? No, we don't need such holier than thou characters. This shocked me a little, because he belonged to a certain tribe, just like he did, and I belong to also another tribe. But he said, no, we don't need such holier than thou characters. And I'm saying that I was shocked, because when again could you need holier than thou characters? At this particular point in time, when so much had been corrupted, personalities corrupted, and we know the climate it's created, there are not many left. And here's a very competent person you could bring on board, and you're telling me holier than thou. I mean, who's compromised himself to such a point that you find a holier than thou character, intimidating? What were you going to ask?
So I was going to ask whether this person, is it still the general, or this is another person?
Oh, no, it's that same general.
Same general.
He's a survivor. He's a survivor. The number of attempts he made on my life, and a few things. Read my book when it comes out.
Okay, we're looking for it.
I hope you'll be alive to read it. Oof. No, I'll stop here.
Okay. So, if I can conclude on that, so if it wasn't for this general, Afrifa would not have been on the list.
No.
And so Afrifa's name on the list was not your preference.
No, I don't think. No, when we compiled the list, none of us had him in mind. I told you what had happened. He wasn't too well. I had him detained and sent to the hospital. When he recovered, I told Dennis to send him home. Afrifa was no part of it. But when you hold such a general in awe, and you're just a young officer, thrust into a situation like this, and people have to go, you know, and he tells you something like this, he would know. Yeah. It's not illogical.
Right. Do you regret it?
No comments yet.
Yes. Abusia, enti mo friends na ato. Amon kan kire ne say, ono ankasa. Onko no nko bo ne papa video ni interview no ya na sase radio so no. Na ompe bi ntie. No ntie nsem efiri ono ankasa ne papa nanum firi mu baaye. Nsem a ne papa kaaye. Eho tan, awudi a odi ye. De ono ankasa confess se waye. Na omfa ono mom enkasa. Na onyai se ompese ye beka nokore no. Nokore na ewo ho no ye beka. Ye se asem adanse ni ho a ye twa asem na bi na de ya adanse. Rawlings aka kire mpefe se ha ono ne kuma firifa. Waka kire se na owo list bi na ekita na sa list no so. Enipa omo so nya na opese onku wo. Ni nyina ne se no ye naive. Ni nyina ne se na opese on save Ghana. But ni bisawo. Rawlings savings be na ode bra Ghana man. Obi a no di yokogare wo school. Obi a ne papa ne maame anware nti no ntia wade ase a no di kom. Eba ne se na Rawlings abusua. Eye one of the richest family in the country. Enti that save na no de ba no. Kwam ben so na no de sa save na ba. Aboye nkro no wadi yewu. Wa say what? Yen future na ye building wa say no. Wa say no. Enti kameti hai obi be kan asem kire me ame hwehwem me sori ya na mafatuo na makokum nipa no. If Senator Rawlings don't know, she should understand say her father was not just a murderer. Her father was what? He was assassinator. He was somebody that people were hiring him to kill. Because no moja. Because no you'll be a disemian and dead. Because no you'll be a kum nana or pel kum. Now I say. Now Rawlings nye kum kwa na pel kum. Nipa ye kum na Rawlings ye hu. And I am fan say ye kum no na oni hobi no. Rawlings ma yesan kotwa video de breno. Na watena ne dan mu ahwe video no nyina. Kwanya ye fa so ye kum nipa. Enti sa nipa we. How do you want to classify him? Ono ankasa no ma san ba be kan obmebe wa kire wo. Ono no say where he was not able to go to kill, he will send people plus a video man, a cameraman to go and what? Go and shoot all the video. Abra ye kum nipa no. Na ye de abra ne wo fie ama na tena ho ahwe video no. Answer ne boato ne yam. Enti say nipa say, wo se ma yam friend and say oye obi a kum nipa na adwene ben ene da utim. Na de ben pa na opese ye onkan kire me. Ana yenye short memory o. Yenye short memory kura. Yenye short memory. Abusia yenwe interview we Rawlings. Nye interview we interrogation ewo Ghana court anim. Listen to what this man said about killing of people. Now I'm going to say ensuo nom. Na nipa kum na dana ba to say ensuo nom the man Rawlings. Okum nipa without scruple. Okum nipa abra onwene ho. Okum nipa abra no hu to say the right thing to do. All can and then or can with the vem. Na onyare na tie, listen to him.
What work are you doing currently?
I'm an employer.
You are a former president of the Republic of Ghana. But as far as your military career is concerned, can you tell the Commission when you were enlisted into the Ghana Armed Forces?
A year after I left school, I guess that could have been in 67 or, wait a minute, 62, 65, and 7. I guess I must have been enlisted in 67.
1967.
But the records should confirm
Okay,
whatever
sir.
it is. Yes.
Do you recall your officer's number?
1158.
Sir, as you are aware, you have been subpoenaed to produce certain articles to the Commission.
Yes.
The Commission has received evidence from Mr. Riyad Huzaifa that he filmed interrogations and executions of certain persons. The Commission now requests that you produce to it these film recordings made by Mr. Riyad Huzaifa at the interrogation and the killing of Corporal Halidujiwa, Lance Corporal Andrews Bamfusa Kodye Ado, and others at the Air Force Base, Accra, on or about March 1984.
If that was his claim, the closest I came to saying anything near to what you're describing was an interrogation of one of the dissident groups. Prior to that was when some of them were brought from the Brong-Ahafo Sunyani region, offloaded. Then there was a Malik on the floor. I'm talking about the tape. And the next scene was, what you call it?
Sir, it's
Yes.
the Commission is asking that you produce it if you have it in your custody.
I'm
and
trying
then
to tell you that I don't have it.
you don't have it.
What I'm telling you, what I know about it, I have seen excerpts of it, but I cannot produce it. It could either be with late Warrant Officer W. Tete, between him and the security apparatus, or broadcasting, I don't know.
Sir, kindly go ahead and tell us.
Yes.
Abusiahwe o. Enti papa we. Enye se na opese yenkum nipa na asa o. Ye bekum nipa no. Ye ntwa ho video na ye mfa mra no ma ne nhwe. Ai. Nti won so narrate. The oka no e de ohu no video so o. Enti no ngina hobby, but because he was love with broad enti no. Ye kum nipa si ye ntwa ho video na ye mfa mra no nhwe. Momento aso na ye ntie.
What I saw.
What you saw.
Yes. It was mainly it must have been an interrogation of one of the dissident groups. And I watched a strip for about 3 to 4, 5 minutes about plots and plans and who, where, who landed what, and who provided what kind of equipments, etc. But I was a little too busy, so I switched it off and told the late Warrant Officer Tete, please, I think I've had enough of it. Could you please close it up?
Sir, can you tell the Commission who authorized the filming of these interrogations and killings?
It could have been anyone, but I know I was one of the key figures in authorizing, what's his name, Mr. Huzaifa, because in those days we didn't have enough machinery within the Broadcasting Corporation to film activities that were going on around the countryside. And he was the only one who had video equipment, in those days. So he proved to be a very useful person in those days. So it wasn't just a question of filming things, activities that were engaged in within the units around the countryside, but most important of all, I'd say some of these issues related to intelligence matters, like what you're just talking about. Yes.
And where was he required to keep the tapes? In whose custody were the tapes to be kept?
Some of them I know, those I think probably having to do with the social and the developmental sector of activities, no doubt ended up with the Broadcasting Corporation, some of which were actually used. But I'm sure those that had to do with intelligence must have been done at the BNI outfit. Whether he did them or he taught somebody else to do them, that's another matter. And there were there was one very personal thing that I showed personal interest in and wanted to see for myself. That was when one of our fighter aircrafts landed, well, it dropped a bomb somewhere, landed on the runway, and the aircraft couldn't stop, as a result of which the pilot ejected. And that's when I invited him to please be kind enough to go and film as thoroughly as possible, everything to do with that scenario. And that could still be with me. It may be amongst my collection of tapes, but a lot of those tapes really to do with social economic activities, I think must be with either the broadcasting, and in this respect, I'll say that it was most unfortunate that a fire incident occurred at the broadcasting at a certain period of time, and that was the second time. Whatever interpretations you want to put on it, if we want to analyze it, that's another issue we can talk about. Yeah.
Yes. Nti wa hu papa we. Hey. Abusha, Ghana for ye loose. O man na da ho no. Chese obi abetima di nkwashasem wo na wafa de ho adifiri. How can you say you authorize people to fail? The video now, wahwe wa hunu se ni ho. When the man command ya say enye wo a, the ban say na e de brew. Entro. Nkontompo. All of a sudden, GBC ejatum. All of a sudden, GBC ejatum. There is no evidence to support. Entro. Wudini ayefeni wudini Rawlings. Ono na numa sem na wuti momento ado. Yes, Paulina ntwima me mwakwa aba. Safua Abdukarim me mwakwa aba pa. Yemi apanyin Samoroko no me mwakwa aba. Ena Ken Dedo mo so mwakwa aba. Mame Diana Pia me cheo ye pa mwakwa aba. Me mwakwa aba pa. Anderson Quincy me mwakwa aba. British Nkansa me mwakwa aba pa. Sansona Demane Idrisu also me mwakwa aba. Momento aso na ntie video no.
And so you haven't stated specifically, you believe it may be with the BNI or with RSM Tete or with the GBC?
Late RSM Tete.
With the late?
Yes.
You believe
yes.
it's in his custody?
Yeah, if you're talking about the one that Mr. Hozaifa mentioned.
Yes.
And I believe that's something to do with the alleged Air Force Station interrogation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And
I presume so, because an aircraft landed, etc. There was somebody else lying on the floor who was picked up by the beach during that dissident activity, and then the interrogation of this gentleman for about 3-5 minutes, talking about all these things, but I had a lot of things to do. So if that's what you're talking about, I think, I remember I did tell W. Tete, I think that's enough. Please send it back to wherever.
And do you recall those who you saw in the video clip at the time?
When the aircraft arrived, there were a number of personnel, soldiers on board, and I remember, what's his name? Jack Bebley was the one who was carrying, what's his name? Jiwa, who was carrying Jiwa, off the aircraft. And as he got down the aircraft, there was another one who had been captured, I believe, around the Kong, area. I think if you look into the records, you'll get the accurate information.
But you don't recall the name of the second person?
Yesterday I was asking, and Malik, he was called.
Right.
Yes. He was lying, on a stretcher, indulging in a lot of coarse invectives.
And do you know why he was on the stretcher? Did the video
I don't know. He could have been wounded.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
it was an encounter. Yes.
Please go on, sir.
And the next scene, like I said, was this gentleman. Actually, because what I did ask W. Tete, I'm more interested in what the dissidents had to say, because I was more interested in the manipulators, the plots and plans, who are the hidden, people with, hidden motives behind them. Who are the ones who are, what's the word, using soldiers as pawns, etc. So in the process of the interrogation, as they're talking, we might be able to discern something out of it. But somewhere, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, telephone calls, all kinds of things. So I just went off it and told Teta.
Say what? Papa we say a friend so you would near iti ben ebroso. The other can contemplate or her video nina. Papa we ought to know who say a man for moja gufoma na a yenete. I moja and I know her. And moja in the name of say, or no, or ye hear ni on Tiasi the entire Ghana Fobunum Ewosika. Hiane one a sono on Tiasi so be hotono eseneno. Enti se uyo bi a wugina wonan so kakra bia na papa yi amaya frɛw ye frɛ no de kɔ ne nkyɛn a wonsan ma biem woyɛ se wudwane nso a ne yakɔkyew jiwa na ɔka na asɛm no yɛkɔkye no Burkina ɛwofɛ ne sɛ Cote d'Ivoire ne Dɔmaa area ho Sampa area ɛna yɛkɔkye no ɛkɔkum no osunwan enti ɔma yɛkɔtwa video brɛ no sɛ ɔbaa bɛhwɛ bi ɛnso ɛnɛ ɔte hɔ sɛ onim ɔnkae ne wure mfiri na wukum nipa wuwu no se de na ehia wo ene se yese o aircraft anya incident nti amanfo papa ne amanfo wo fa no ma na papa wo ye kum wo basabasa no na emfa ne hu helicopter na anya problem na ye ne hawo wudini Jonathan Rawlings o ma me no papa omo ya wudifo omo ye bronsamfo mo e wo se nka mudin ye ntwam mfiri Ghana man mu agye Enoch me wakɔ abapa twene boa Sofia me ma won so akɔ abapa bra kwasi asamoya wo ha me wakɔ abapa ma me Christian boa tema me wakɔ abapa ya mo wo se nka mudin ye ntwam mfiri amanyo sem wo Ghana man mu ye na ye gya mo makɔfa bronsamfo andisifo begu eso an ye bre ye hyehyɛ na ɔmo sɛ no said the Yeshisha Ghana Maya Rawlings by your best say no. The same character and this if we itawo. A woodie, chrono, Samone, Pesamin Kuminya are dokoro to the highest level. Now Abujamin found here. Yawa Papa way a tukuba.
Lower sentence.
Papa we find a tukuba. A woodia. Rawlings edi ye nyina papa we na no di anim one no ne di bo obeka na num asem so utie ade a Rawlings ye nyina was about tribalism akamfo anya omo ho oro no voter for munya nya omo ho nti onte ase na ye babetie kwanya Rawlings fa so say papa wo ya adwene e ma ne di bone ensem o ka kire papa wo adada o dada no e ma ne di bone ene a kire no sen na ekosi papa wo obeka ne nyina mumenya aso na yenti papa wo ne nsem odinam momenti.
At that time was divided into two. Rawlings and his group going to the IMF and the socialist boys. So we were hanging with these socialist boys to see whether still we can do something about the whole thing. Because it was Ghana first. And so if...
Are you sure it was Ghana first?
Yes, after that, when this thing didn't work. Because the students all left the schools and they were carrying cocoa. The workers, even President Kufuor, he joined the revolution, Bar Association. Everybody was interested, Father Damois and the rest. Everybody thought that, yes, okay, whatever the situation was, let's come together and see whether we can propel this nation. And so things were going on all right until the judges' matter came. And that is where the front was divided.
What happened to those judges?
Those judges were picked up under the instruction of Rawlings.
Aha. Say judge for your come wasemi eye judge for me nsana na maame kuranten eka ho a ye fa omo kokum womo etwa agya to won body mu a Yakopon bo omo a sabio ensuo eye den eto ya omo anye den omo nipadua na nhye amomentie die nti a enam so e ma Rawlings esisa sa judges wey ekokum okwa momentie.
I must be frank. There was a meeting, and almost all the members knew about that they were going to be arrested, except Brigadier Nunu Mensah at that time, Chris Atim, and Father Damois. The rest all knew that they were going to be arrested. But as for the killing, I cannot say it is Rawlings or it is another person who did it, or the wife. But then the keys to the car was given to Amatekwe by Rawlings' wife. And the car was stationed at Rawlings' house 2 weeks before the operation. So what evidence do you need again? And they were pick up. Curfew time will know that nobody goes out unless you are these paramilitary people, ambulances, or you have a curfew pass.
Right. Coming to talk about, think, you talking about the 4 judges. There are names.
3 and 1.
Three
plus
judges
the retired
and
major.
then retired major. Jano, Jandu, Seko, Senya, Amatekwe.
And America.
And America.
Yes.
Who later escaped into exile.
Yes.
They were used as scapegoats.
Yes.
But in your book, you also made mention that there was a news that came to Rawlings where he popped champagne.
Yes.
Is that what triggered you to think he was involved in the killing?
Yes, I believe it. Because what I saw was that Brigadier Nunu Mensah, he told Amatekwe to go and release them. And then he said that he has dispatched them. You see?
Why were they killed?
They were killed because, like I said, this indemnity clause thing. After 4th June, Rawlings and his group said that nobody should appeal the sentences of the AFRC convicts. And this appeal court judges, 3 of them said, no, this was wrong. So let us look at it again. Even Dr. Leman was afraid to open that case. And then, when they look at it, some of them were freed or some of them were given lower sentences. And that made them to be offended that, hey, we have made a law. Why do you people go and do it? And that is why. As for the major was the one who was personnel. He was working at G-Hawk, where Amatekwe was working at Tema, G-Hawk. And he was picked up because when Amatekwe and the workers marched from Tema to Parliament House to 10 tables and they ate their lunch, you remember that a board of inquiry was formed, and that major was sitting on the board, and he recommended that Amatekwe and some of them should be sacked. And so Amatekwe, they added him. So it was this AFRC convicts which were, that was the main problem, and that's why they caught them. But in addition to that, other people too were going to be picked up. There were about 250. So Flight Lieutenant Odoy was the security coordinator stationed at State House. I went to him with Fanama, we talk about it. He said, no, this was not the meaning. They were going to be picked and then locked, not to be killed. But as to the killing, I'm saying that it came from Rawlings and the wife, you see, particularly because he popped champagne. Do you pop champagne to celebrate, or do you pop champagne when you are mourning somebody, the death of somebody? They come and tell you that they have despised them, meaning they have killed them. Then you go and bring champagne, a passion, and start drinking. What does that signal? The wife was wearing white. You see? All this thing came to light. So that is how I can conclude it, that they were killed because Rawlings and his wife wanted to avenge why they have given a law and then it was tampered with.
During all the time
Kase women kasa bi mne atie video no. Enti Rawlings yakum maame oye den. Oma ne ba no fo yakum no. Na Jerry Rawlings se pompo ho champagne. Adentia judge for the mere ye adwuma. Yakum obi because oye demonstration. Ene nkamu NDC fo nkia yakum mu nyina. Enkwase demonstration amaye ne anado danko akufo ado breso. Freedom e de amamu ye de amope. But munipa odi bo dem so men kan ho asem. Abusa wo men koso ntie video no. Ne se da be beti ase na be ye follow up. Ko bia na me interrupt a na ye ntie ase yi. Wo men tie video no nyina. Ye wi a na be follow us na to.
You thought you were going to prosper. Rawlings misled you, according to yourself.
Yeah.
And you're in the rest, including Nakatapori.
Yeah.
You had him on numerous occasions where you could have taken him out of government.
Yeah.
Why did you still allow him to stay in? By also listening to Akatapori, why didn't you turn him over? Why didn't you say, we want a probably new government to be formed, get Rawlings out of there, and form a new government? Why couldn't? Because at one point, you bashed into the State House, met Rawlings, and he was shivering, according to yourself.
Yeah.
However,
the castle.
However, and you made mention to, is it Awuni?
Yeah, Baba Awuni, Captain
and
Baba Awuni.
You told him you could have been the head of state. Did you believe you could have been the head of state?
Yes, I could have been the head of state. Even I took over the broadcasting house. Remember?
Right.
And then I signaled that they should bring him. So I could have announced for myself. But to be very sincere and honest with you, I didn't know what to do. You see, if
you had Dumakunya Mitchell with you. You had so many people with you. Why couldn't you probably, because the man had lied to you.
Yes.
He had misled you into this chaotic situation where people were killed.
That is
your
true.
own friends, you saw them.
Yes.
Including innocent people.
That is true.
Why didn't you rethink the situation?
Yeah, at a point we were trying to do it, and then it didn't work. 28 October, we were trying to shoot him up. And then one guy who is still with them now, Rawlings was bringing some of the gold from Obuasi. And then we put the cascavel and mounted it towards the helicopter. So one of the boys who was with us, he told another guy, and then they told Rawlings, and Rawlings just flew the helicopter. When he was coming, he flew it and went and landed at Air Force. So that was one point. Then another point, we try again. We tried several times to get him. But you see, with this thing, if you do it with others, it will leak. I could have gone to do it myself, or like 2-3 people. But immediately you broaden it, it will get leaked. That is the unfortunate thing about these things.
In your book, you also made it quite obvious. You were the most feared person by Rawlings in the army. Is that the case?
Yeah, that is the case, because I was the person who drove him from this thing, 37 Military Hospital. How he came to power, it was the late Atta, the mortuary man. Mm-hmm. That is where Rawlings met me and Bafa, and I took him in an ambulance. We were going through Elwak, the ambulance put the siren, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. Then when we reached the Reki regiment, the MRS, then we diverted to where the electricity is. And then I put him in my room. So from my room, I was able to organize the rest to the assembly area. An assembly area is where troops assemble to give orders. So I sent him there, and the rest came and joined. And I was the one who led him to seize the ammo cars. And I was the one who was the first person to release the shot, you see? And I was the one who led him to go and then see whether we can take Le Mans to the broadcasting to announce. Unfortunately, when we reached there, Le Mans has gone, you see? So he feared me because I didn't just plan it, but I was active in everything.
Are you taking all the glory?
No, I can't do it without my friends. Actually, Aduma Kunyameche, as you said, there were Erika Sare, there were Brahma, there was Baba Kankani, Akadema, there were Ato Wusu, Adam Sake, or the Reki boys, we did it.
You are quite good in remembering all those people.
Yes, yes.
Instances where you were ordered to kill a lot. I remember in your book you were supposed to lie people down and run them over by their waists
yes.
with an ammo car. You refused to do that.
Yes.
Why didn't you do the same thing for a lot of people that were killed? Why didn't you put them in prison or something else? Why did you kill so many people?
Well, to be very sincere with you, during the shooting, I cannot say I didn't kill, because it's either you kill or be killed during the fighting. Because don't forget that it wasn't just a ride over. There was a lot of resistance. First came the military intelligence. They were following us just like that, trailing us. And then from time to time, we stop there and deflate their cars and collect their keys. Then it came other units like engineer regiment. And then we went to brigade when Major Nantoma, the late, he was firing the Kagu staff himself. And then we went to Mass. And this Kenejukonuku, he deployed the military academy, those who were under training. So we had it very, very tough. And so in that instant, I can't say I didn't kill anybody, because if you don't shoot, you'll be shot. But after the revolution, I can swear to my number God that I've never killed anybody with the rifle, apart from the fighting. Yes, but there were other killings. People settled scores. And Rawlings himself, he settled scores, which we know.
When you last met Rawlings, before the RNT,
the National Reconciliation.
Yeah, before the reconciliation meeting. Before that, I'm talking about just after the revolution. You met him?
Yeah, I met him.
And you were incarcerated again. You got arrested.
Yes.
And the whole army stood behind you.
Yes.
For you to be released, or else
they will move.
Exactly. Why didn't you allow them to do that?
Well, it was one Captain Babawuni, as I said, and then one Major Yache, because they were Northerners. They thought that they could talk us down. So they took me with helicopter. It was this man, Brigadier Kwenu, and the rest, sent me to them. Colonel Yache, he was 5BN commander. And so he appealed to me that it is better for us to talk rather than take over, because everybody was ready. So when I went there, I wanted to move them and Captain Babawuni. And that is why last minute, Captain Babawuni followed me. If he and the colonel, or they follow us to the prison, because they have let us down. Even when they were coming to arrest us, we wanted to fight. And then, I mean, including Saya Akatapore, he was saying we should stop. We were ready. Even Baba, when he was ready, that we should fight. When they were coming, we deployed, ready. So that is what happened. And I couldn't do otherwise, because I was always, the problem with me, I like discipline, so I try to listen to my superiors.
What has happened to Akatapore now?
Akatapore, the last time I met him, he was in Ghana. He's maintaining a low profile, because he doesn't want to, he wants sleeping dogs to lie. But I told him that unless this matter is brought up, we cannot put it under the carpet, because the Northerners, they don't want to see some of us. It was recently through this thing, a nephew I'm living with. He is bringing me towards the Northern. When they see me, they want to scheme me why I have to overthrow my own brother. So I'm privileged to be here to explain that I didn't start it, but I was brainwashed. And when I saw it was too late, I wanted to take action. And that is why, since from there, I never stopped fighting. I was in there, and June 19th, I was the guy who started planning it before we went to the broadcasting house, and then things fucked up. And one went to exile. I came back again with Ali Dujiwa them, and they were caught.
Okay. On whose orders was Lieutenant Asare executed?
It was Rawlings.
On Rawlings?
Yeah.
Why the? I mean, what I still cannot contend is the killings. Why? He's in power already. People have surrendered. You've taken over. You've formed government that was ruling. Why the ongoing killing?
Well, on the part of Lieutenant Asare, they were actually coming to take over at the broadcasting.
Okay.
He came with that Rawlings said he should come and take over the command. And so the boys there, Ajekum, Awene, Aduma Kunyamiche was there, and then America was there, Matthias Kujo, and the rest. So they arrested him. That how? Who were the people who brought about the revolution with Father Buga and the rest? And so we are guarding here. Rawlings said you should come, and he didn't tell us. So they escorted him to the Gonda Barracks. And then they say, did you ask this officer to come and take over? So Rawlings asked him, officer, am I the one who asked you to go and take over? He was there. I say, did I ask you to go and take over power at the broadcasting house, command? And so when the officer didn't talk, he said, people like this, what do you do with them? Take him away. By that, it translates to mean that they should go and kill him.
Who killed him?
Well, it was it's difficult.
Did you kill him?
No, I didn't.
Who killed him?
It was Ali Dujiwa, but he's also dead now. Yeah.
Are we trying to put every sort of
dead people
on the dead?
Dead people don't talk. So let's assume that he did it.
Let's assume that he did it.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's fine. In this humbling situation where you have so much regret for people that were killed during your time, at the reconciliation meeting, you have come out quite strongly and apologetic.
Yes, because I believe that I have so much blood in my hands. You see? Can you see blood?
Definitely. And is that why most of you guys tend to be pastors and
yes, a lot of them, and a lot of because there's no day without you thinking about it, because it wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to be a paradise on earth, like an Ethiopia. Talking about the resources we have, gold, diamond, bauxite, cocoa, and all those things. And then it was a question of mismanagement. So if these resources are properly harnessed, we would have come out to, but the whole thing was a kind of hoax. Rawlings and the wife and his friends, they came to make money, as you can see today. One of the Forbes books, they say that he's one of the richest people. And then you ask yourself, people who took loan with 50 cedis and you line them up and shoot Makwele women, our mothers. 2 tins of milk, geisha, plichat, that time they called them essential commodities, were short. And today, how many houses do you have? How many cars? Talk about in Sawam, Canary. Talk about rubber plantation. Talk about the Black Star Line. And talk about what and what and what. La Palm Beach and what we don't know. Was it worth it that we took part? And that makes us to be what we are. You see that I am very, very strong now because I was able to go to the national reconciliation and I told the Ghanaians the truth, the same thing I'm telling you. And I asked them that I asked for forgiveness. And alternatively, any punishment that they deem it that I should face, I was prepared. They clap hands for me because I said the truth. I'm sorry. You can't bring these people back. We've been prepared to be hanged. because yes, that is it.
Do you think you should face any punishment for, because you tend to still accept that mere apology to the people is enough?
Well, if the people of Ghana deem it fit, after me coming to the national reconciliation and narrating all these things, if they still think that that is not enough and they want to punish me, I'm ready to face any punishment.
It's a whole lot. And I think I'm quite honored to have met you. And a lot of people that have different perception about you, in terms of you being a criminal, in terms of you killing willingly, and in taking delight. You have the privilege to now tell them what you really think and what a good man you are.
Yes, thank you very much. Like I said, I have never killed anybody physically like that without any cause. But in battle, either you kill or be killed. And so I cannot say I didn't kill anybody during the fighting. On our side, we lost people during the assault to the broadcasting and other places. And then the enemy too, they lost people. But I take responsibility because I was the one who Akatapori talked to. And then I recruited the people for Rawlings, and Rawlings himself. And I was the one who released the first shot. So I take full responsibility. And so when the national reconciliation came, I went there willingly, and then I stood before them. I even wanted to meet Rawlings. I met Chikata, and when Chikata was trying to play game, he brought a complete lawyer, Oba Asamoah, and Asamoah was not there. Asamoah came later on. He was the workers at this thing, TEMA, this defense committee. He was a coordinator, and they rejected him. And when he came, he was wearing Wellington boots with some Chanchamba car. The Kwame Nkrumah type, boom, boom. I was the one who matched him to Rawlings. And you are coming to tell me that you are coming to defend Kojo Chikata. And I know how Kojo Chikata's car was stolen and bent. I know the people who did the action. So what are you coming to say? And when I brought that, you say, my lord, arrest my case, no more questions. Because if they wanted, I would have revealed the whole moon.
Moon, okay.
You see? And Rawlings, he didn't come. I was there till I left. He never came, because if he came, the same moon I'll reveal. Because I know more than...
How do you feel when he actually denied you entirely? And he's not done it just at the reconciliation meeting. He's done it on several platforms.
Yes.
He said he does not know you.
Yeah, he said he does not know me because he's a coward. That's what I can say. After me doing all this thing for him, he knows very well that when he meets me, I will just tell him certain things that he would like the F to open and he will enter and bury himself. And he hasn't stopped there. You see, if I were the only person that you can say that he has used, or I was being deceived, then it will be okay. You saw what happened to Aka, and you saw what happened to President Kufuor. Up to today, he has started it. He actually sent meals to his grave. You see? And when Muhammad came...
That is a serious talk.
Yes, he sent meals to his grave.
What do you mean by that?
Since he wanted the wife to stand, and when they went to Sunyani, the wife didn't win. Since then, he has never stopped condemning meals. He insulted meals everywhere, used the opportunity. The man was sick, and then he was doing his best for the country, and Rawlings was on him till he died. And during the condolence, you saw what he said. It was an omen for him to die. It was God sent that Mills died early. Otherwise, the party wouldn't have been what. How can somebody say something like that? A former head of state. That's why I say he sent him to the grave.
Should Rawlings have ever given you those ornaments, the gold, the diamond, because he seemed to be very particular about that, even when you were in the broadcasting station? Would you have been so much against him and his family?
Actually, that was when he said we're going to prosper. I wasn't thinking about me as a person, but the whole country, because during that time, some of these ideas they were giving us, Chachu, Austin, and the rest, they made us to believe that we have gold, we have diamond, we have bauxite, we have manganese, we have cocoa, and we have arable land. And it was only because of mismanagement. That is why we are where we are. And so if we manage these resources properly, then we will get a situation whereby it will be like here, whereby there will be a welfare state, and then the rich will also be there, pay taxes, and it will be channeled for like the private sector. And what that means is that there will be food, clothing, and shelter, not forgetting about education, which is vital for development, and health. You see, housing for the workers, not that he will give the workers money, but create conditions whereby people will not be coming here for jobs. You see, that is how I was thinking, but not individually. Because if you look at the country, it has been like that from day one. I didn't know about Kwame Nkrumah because I was very young. But much as some of the people, the head of states, were trying to do the right thing, people around them are just jostling. It's happening even right now, as you can hear news. So if we have that mentality, we are not going forward. I'm not saying that here there's no corruption, but they create the structures whereby you cannot steal for 1 or 2 years. You'll be fished out. You see, in no way, for example, the institutions are there. So if you try to drivel them, you can do it for some time, but they will bring you out. And that is what I was thinking.
Yeah, but you know, in as much as you talk so profoundly about others, Rawlings is quite a prominent man who is being hailed all across the country by so many. I mean, you can agree and disagree with me that NDC will not probably come to power without the support of him. So why is it that with all the sort of atrocities he's committed, the things you allege that he's done, he still get the support?
One is because the way he was able to eliminate those who brought him to power. Not only me. It includes Akatapore, it includes Chris Atim, it includes everybody who started with him. He eliminated everybody. And so he was a Napoleon. And number two, those people, 81 to now, they were not born. A lot of the voting population, it's about 35 years. Some of them have got children. They didn't know the story. So I'm now saying that he's popular because all these people grew up to know it's only Rawlings. Until some of us come out, like Nana, like me, saying that no, wait, he's what he is because he was able to silence all dissent. In Rawlings' time, what Anas is doing, he can't do it. And what all those people are doing, they can't bring all these things out. And so that is where he was able to be what he is. And the second thing is that he was able to pitch one tribe against another. You see, he's a good manipulator. And he hasn't stopped up to now. You can see it for yourself.
How is he doing it now?
He's doing it because he was able to do it to Aka. He was able to do it to Kufuor, and Kufuor didn't give him chance. When Kufuor won, in fact, he said that we shouldn't come, the exiles. Can you imagine? When Kufuor brought Sulemana, Yaya Muadini, and Major Sita, he was anointed. That was the beginning. So up to today, nobody has ever given us amnesty, let alone compensation. All those who went to exile. And I'm saying that the military intelligence, and I can say it, that day they did a very wonderful job. They were following us from beginning to the end. And these people were doing their job, fighting for the state. And you came up and locked them, for 3 years, and no government has come to sincerely say that these people, let's look at it again.
You talk about amnesty and compensation. Do you really believe you should be compensated?
For me, if they don't give me, it's okay. But the soldiers who were casualties because of us, they should look at it properly. You see?
Can you name some of them?
Yes, the military intelligence, and also some of those people who went to exile because they arrested me and then they took to arms. All of them were locked, half of the Reki regiment because of me. And all these people, they haven't got compensation. So if the
Yes, Abusia, Yenina, your teen semnepa. Your beer phone lies not to friend our children. I found some of it. Rawlings, he wasn't a saint. Rawlings wasn't an angel. Rawlings, no yenny papa beer. I was seeing flan to my feet. Rawlings, no you would for. No you would for pa. Odi bonnet, sika, ene ahunyanti, or say Ghana mino. Enti ye kan etumika sinipi onye ni papa wine wa mwaga na mai ye shira ye den eja ye ho mane deceive ye said the NDC for ye ne ya saa no mote omo asefo nyina saa no mote abushema bi phone